All right, welcome back to another episode of Insight. And today I am here with Pastor Corey, our youth pastor, and I have some cool questions to ask him about the youth and the stage we're in right now. Everybody knows we're going through COVID, and there is social distancing, which means staying at home a lot, which ends up calling for things like depression and anxiety in the younger generation. So we're going to be kind of discussing about depression and anxiety in the youth and in the younger generation. So Pastor Corey,
Hey, man.
welcome. And I just want to start off with, what do you think is the main cause of depression and anxiety in the younger generation?
I don't know if there's a main cause. I mean, you've got, depression is one of those things that can be a mental issue. You know, it could be an imbalance issue, chemical imbalance or whatever, where just somebody is depressed, clinically depressed. Depression can come out of sin in somebody's life, and so depression may be the result of sinful choices.
Yeah.
And so I think there's many different ways. I don't think depression in itself. Let me be clear when I say that. Depression in itself is not a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Being down and being depressed is not a sin. You can be depressed because of sin, but depression in itself is not a sin. Being anxious is not a sin.
Mm-hmm. Well, wow, yeah. So let's just go ahead and answer this question too.
Sure.
For somebody that is struggling with depression as a result of sin, because of the guilt, I think everybody knows this if you're a Christian about grace and forgiveness. But let's kind of just clarify that. Let's just speak some truth to the person right now that is watching, that is been struggling with anxiety and depression because of something they've done.
Being depressed, being anxious about your life is normal, especially being a young person. You know, there's so many evil things in the world today that's very visible through social media and through media in general, and so that's just kind of part of life these days, it seems like. But I would say that you're not alone in that. You weren't created to do life by yourself. Especially if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, if you're a follower of Jesus, and you found yourself struggling with depression, found yourself struggling with anxiety. That's not for you to handle by yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, you should be giving that over to the Lord, but also you should be confessing it to other believers. Yeah. And I think about somebody like David, who struggled mightily with depression through sin in his life, through a murder that he committed. You go read the book of Psalms, and it's depressing what he was going through. But what we see over and over again is God did show him grace. Yeah. I was looking as we were beginning to talk about this, is Psalm 37 verses 23 through 24. It says, if the Lord delights in a man's way, he makes his steps firm. Yeah. Though he stumbles, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. We stumble, we mess up, but God is right there to catch us, to pick us back up, to love us with all the grace that he shows. Yeah.
Going off of that, let's talk about the actions, because, obviously when somebody's depressed, a lot of times they want to act on it, and we have a lot of people, and this is serious, that by the way, as of yesterday, I was talking to somebody, one of my friends, and they've never even brought this up to me, and we were just talking, being honest with each other, and then they say, nobody knows this, but every time I feel down and depressed and anxious, I get a lighter and I put it on my wrist, and it burns the pain away. That was exactly their words. It burns the pain away. And I was like, that's crazy. And they sent me a picture of where they've done it. And they said 2 days ago or something like that. Like, it's very recent. So what would you say to somebody that is doing self-harm, and now it's probably become a habit or something that they do regularly.
Become a stronghold
Yes.
that's taken hold. Yeah. So one, I would just for practical purposes, I would offer up the book to read, Johnny Hunt's Demolishing Strongholds. And self-harm is not of God. I mean,
Yeah.
God would never desire for someone to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Again, if you're a follower of Jesus, your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit's living inside you, the very Spirit of God inside of you, and you should never ever hurt yourself. To your friend who was saying that, hey, the pain takes the sadness away, or however you were putting it, it doesn't. It may redirect the pain, redirect some of the suffering, but that's not a solution. That's a very bad Band-Aid that they're putting on. And so, I would say for one, like, again, none of that should be kept to yourself.
Yeah.
There's so many young people. I mean, I'm 35, so I'm not. I mean, I guess I'm considered a young person in some ways. Depends on what crowd you're hanging out with. But, growing up, I heard of, several guys that took their lives growing up. And one guy in particular that I was friends with when I was a lot younger, who took his life out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And recently I heard about a kid in Lee County that did the same thing. COVID's done a lot of things. It's pushed us into isolation in a lot of ways, and you can be connected with somebody on your phone. You can be connected with millions of people on your phone and still feel extremely alone. And so, again, I would say that you're not meant to do life by yourself. And Christian community, church is what Jesus created for you. And so I would say that they need to be plugged in with a body of believers. They need to be open and honest with the body of believers. It's good to have that accountability in your life, and to have somebody just put their arms around you and show you the love of God that's been showed of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. So let's talk about the other side of the story, because you said reach out, you ask for help. Now, if I'm the friend of the person that is going through depression, how do I help them? Because a lot of times, and we were talking about this before we started, and we were saying that a lot of our friends will ask us to promise, not to tell anybody. They're going to open up to us and tell us what's going on, but they're like, don't tell anybody. But if we don't tell anybody, we're not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
So how do I approach that to where I don't risk my friendship with my friend, but also get help?
That's you don't want to burn that bridge of that relationship, because obviously they need you as a friend. I would say the first thing you need to do is pray for your friend. Take it to God and give it over to God. Second, if you're talking about two minors that are talking to each other, so anybody that's under the age of 18, their parents are still directly responsible for them, and parents are always responsible for their kids, and at least they feel that way. And so I would say if I had a friend who was telling me that, first thing I would do is pray for them, pray out loud with them. Pray to God, showing them how much that you love them. And then I would just very much encourage them to confess that to their parents. You're not helping anybody by staying silent. You're not helping your friend by not telling anybody. And so I would encourage them, if they're a minor, again, to confess that to their parents. I think about a few years ago, I had a parent call me, and he expressed to me that one of his kids was dealing with suicidal thoughts, like real suicidal thoughts. And that was a day of a lot of things being revealed that were going on in that student's life at that time. But it was also a day that things turned around in that student's life, because they immediately went into Christian counseling. They immediately confessed some of the thoughts and feelings that they were having. That was not the end of things for that student. That was not, I'm sure it was a hard thing to confess and maybe an embarrassing thing to confess, but so much good came out of that. And so, again, you're not meant to be silent. You're not meant to do life alone, and confession needs to happen, certainly.
Yeah. Well, I think that will really, really help. And I hope whoever is watching, if you're going through depression, I hope you take Pastor Corey's word of encouragement to heart, and I hope you really would open up and look for help, because you're not meant to be alone. You're not alone. So just remember that. And thank you so much, Pastor Corey.
Hey, man. Happy to help anytime.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.